Okay, here we have the Nikon D2X, which is a classic Nikon DSLR camera, which came out about September of 2004, and at that time it had an estimated price of a little over $6,000, but it was considered a top-of-the-line pro camera at that time. And it's a great camera, especially for those that would be interested in sports or wedding photography. It has features which can benefit those particular areas of photography. It weighs about 2.5 pounds roughly, sometimes depending upon like the batteries in there. It has a shutter speed range of 1/8 thousandths of a second up to 30 seconds of time, plus it has bulb. It has a 12.4 megapixel APS-C size sensor, CMOS sensor, and the camera has a crop mode, a high-speed crop mode, in which it utilizes a lesser part of the sensor, but can give you a higher rate of speed of shooting. Normally it has a rate that it's about 5 frames per second, but on high speed mode, the high speed crop mode, it can give you up to 8 frames per second. So you can sacrifice a bit of the megapixel amount in that aspect. It takes the megapixel down to the equivalent of between like 6 and 7 megapixel sensor. But if you need some fast work, like for sports or for certain features, which I'll talk about in a bit, for wedding photography, it works just great. As you could probably tell, this has built in, as part of the body, vertical grip with the vertical shutter and dial and so forth, and it works pretty well. It's very handy to have that all in one. It makes it for a bulkier, somewhat heavier setup. But for me personally, having that extra weight actually kind of helps me at times to keep a steadier hand. Sometimes with the lighter cameras, it can be a little easier, for me at least, to get some camera shake going on in there. So it can be helpful to, for me, to have some weight to a camera. It has rather fast focusing, and it's pretty accurate. It utilizes 11 autofocus points, 9 when it's in the crop mode, and it has features like focus tracking. It allows for multiple exposures and image overlay features, which can benefit like the wedding photographer for different effects. The buttons and dials are all laid out in what you'd probably be comfortable with, even from the days of the later professional film cameras from Nikon. That layout very similar, and it was very easy to and intuitive to work with. So that I really like. It has a screen on top, which I also like, an information screen which can give you indicators of your various settings and so forth, so you don't have to depend upon looking at the screen or looking through the finder necessarily to get certain values. It is very rugged, has a very rugged magnesium alloy construction, and with good weather sealing, so it can be used in very tough weather situations and still come through just fine. Now the pricing today, I had indicated that originally it went for over $6,000, but nowadays, because of the age, you can get it oftentimes for under like 400, probably even under 300. But it's still a very nice camera, even for the time period when it was introduced. 12 megapixels isn't that bad. You can still get by with that. It's just fine. Has wireless Wi-Fi capability with added accessory, which can be very handy for in the early days, like for especially sports photographers and news photographers. They like to be able to excuse me, have the edge of being able to get the shots needed right away and be able to get them transmitted, as fast as possible to their bosses, the companies they work for, the news agencies, to be able to get those out. And so that became a very nice feature to be able to have Wi-Fi capability. It has an ISO range of about 100 to 800, giving you an option with that of an auto ISO, so it can help switch to different settings that might work better for you. Otherwise, its range is from 100 to about 3200. It has a couple of high settings to take you to like 1600 and then 3200, but those wouldn't be available then with the auto ISO setting. But it has a 2.5-inch screen on back, which is nice. It's good enough for showing you the menu selections and for being able to give you an indication of I have to switch it off and back on here because it went into standby. But it can, I guess it's very low on battery power, sorry. But the screen on back can be fine for menu selections. Since this camera doesn't have video capability, this was before they started adding video into DSLRs, its layout is simpler, both on with the dials and the buttons, but also with the display, the menu selections. You don't have to go through a ton of various types of menus and sub-menus and such to get to what you want to do. In fact, a lot of things they may give you separate buttons and to access certain features, and then utilizing control wheels in some cases to simply move to what you want to do. It has these rocker type of selector on here, a display down here for to give you some of your setting information, and as you can see here, it gives you even a voice memo type of feature if you want to be able to put in some sort of vocal indication of like where you're shooting or something important that you need to get in there. It takes a CF card. Many cameras, probably around that era, sorry, took CF cards, but of course, as I had shown in my video about the Canon 5D, you can utilize an adapter that allows you to utilize an SD card and put that in the adapter, and then the adapter goes into the CF slot of the camera. Now the battery that this takes is a special one. They're not, you can still get them to a certain extent. They're not the easiest to find, and they can be rather expensive when you find them. Now the battery itself is sizable here. This is actually the actual battery here, and it clips onto the battery cap there, the end piece, and then you slip that whole thing into the camera. And I through Amazon I was able to get a battery charger that can charge two of these types of batteries at the same time, and plus it also comes with a two extra third-party batteries that are still compatible with this. I like to have backup batteries for a lot of my cameras, and sometimes I get them through Amazon, where I can order batteries and charger at the same time. Usually the charger will be a more compact version of what might have come with the camera itself. But anyway, one of the things about the D2X here that drew me to it was that it is fully compatible with the Nikon TC16A teleconverter. Now this particular teleconverter is a special one which was produced by Nikon, and it gives you an added 60% more magnification to whatever lens you put on there, and it's made to be able to allow you to put on a manual focus lens, and it'll turn it into a autofocus or partial autofocus type of lens, because there's moving elements within the teleconverter body itself, and it is controlled by the you get the autofocus capability through not only the connections there, but also through the screw drive that is a part of the camera's autofocus system in some of the earlier pro Nikon type of bodies. And so in that type of setup was always a popular one for me, especially when I used to use the Nikon F4 camera, because it allowed me to utilize my 302.8 manual focus Nikkor lens at the time and give me some autofocus capability with the camera, plus with the added convenience of adding an extra 60% to the magnification, turning the 302.8 into about a 480 millimeter lens with probably a little bit more than an f4 type of drop down in its aperture, relative aperture. And so, but it does give you a nice working environment. I mean, I don't know that I can get it to necessarily focus now, since the battery is down on this. But normally when you would press the autofocus, then the TC16A would kick in, and you could be able to hear it. Bzz, 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 bzz. And it was originally made, the TC16A, to work with a lenses, I believe, up to like 105 or even 135 millimeter, where you could even set the lens on infinity. and it would give you full or almost full focusing with that. Now with something like my 300 2.8, it gives me a limited autofocus. I can rough focus with the manual focusing and then use the autofocus on there to kind of fine-tune it and really zero in on it. And the autofocus mechanism in there is very precise. I've been very impressed with it. And it's also pretty quick. And so overall, this has been a very nice camera to work with, very fun. And if you're looking for a nice camera that has all these types of features I talked about at a really nice, decent price, this can be a possible option for you. The Nikon D2X, other cameras that in the D2 line that are also compatible with the TC16A include the D2XS, which is came after this and gives a little bit more refinement over some of the features. But also the D2H was around, which only gives you like 4 megapixel sensor, but otherwise many of the other features are very much the same. And so the other Nikon cameras, DSLR cameras, aren't quite as immediately workable with the TC16A. Some of them may require, because of pin assignments and pin locations with the electronic contacts, they may require a modified version, which you can get them where people have modified it to work with more of the cameras. But if you want to be able to get be able to use a Nikon TC16A, just the regular original version, you can utilize it with the D2X here, the D2 series, and it'll work perfectly fine. The lens I have on here is an old Sigma that I have which goes 35 to 70, but it's a 2.8 to f4 aperture. But it still works well. And so that covers the Nikon D2X and some of its nice features. And so I guess I'll see you next time. Thank you. My apologies for not having the battery up to power so I could show you how the TC16A converter works. I had thought that I had battery power in there, but it had gone down from what I thought it was. So I put in a replacement battery, third-party one, and so I can fire this up and show you how it goes here. I've got it it's in aperture priority mode right away, right now. And what I'm going to do, I can show you how it can, I've got it at the 70mm setting, and I've got back button focus set up here, as I usually do. So we can show you how it can work. You can probably hear it in action here. And I'm going to turn on the display here and get that to a mode where it's not going to really show anything on here because it doesn't have live view. But I can have it focusing. on different things here. And in fact, I might even be able to maybe show you kind of how this works. Now I'll utilize the back button to focus on here. But see, just trying to focus just on regular light without a lens on there. But it can give you some autofocus capability with a variety of lenses. And so that's one of the factors that helped me decide to get the D2X, because I learned through research on the internet that the D2 line was one of the, probably about the only Nikon DSLRs that I'd read about that are compatible with the DC16A without without having a modified converter. And so that can be very handy. And so that is the combination here. Okay, the speeds on continuous high mode, the regular speed, now with high speed crop mode, we'll turn that on, and now this gives us amazing 8 frames per second.